everyone, welcome back to GameMaker Cast. It's Mickey again, and what we're going to do here is take a look at what we've previously done in the last episode, and we're going to work on our starfield. In the previous episode, we got this ship movement code done so we can move up and down, left and right. We also have a little exhaust happening here, just a nice little trail that we can fool around with. And we created a starfield background, and right now it's just static, and we just basically instantiated a bunch of different objects and then gave them different sizes and opacities, or image alpha. So what I want to do is make this starfield being able to move from right to left, and once one of these stars hits the left hand side, I want it to regenerate in a random position on the right hand side. Sorry, once it hits the left hand, go over to the right hand. So what we're going to do is close our game and go to the star generator. In the create event, you can see that we have the number of stars, and then we create the alpha and scale and assign it to that specific instance of the star that we're creating. What I want to do is take some of this stuff out and put it into the create event of the object star. So I'm going to add new event and create, and what I'm going to do is in the star generator, I want to cut out the alpha and scale. We'll go back to the object star. I'll paste in the alpha and scale, and I'm going to remove the keyword var because we don't want local scope. We want this to be accessed within any one of our events in the object star. Also, because we're using a random range, let's make sure we use a randomize at the start so that we do actually get random numbers. Next, we don't need to assign a star for the instance that we're creating. All I want to do is create the instance and have the create event fire. So we can get rid of the star variable, which means that the alpha and x scale we can cut out, which cleans that up quite a bit. And in here, we can paste that in, and we will get rid of the star image, and then just fix our alignment. So just like before, the image alpha is being assigned, and then the image scale. So we can actually save this, and if we run it, we're not going to notice any difference. We just want to make sure that everything is still working. And you can see that it is, so let's close it. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is have the star field move. So let's create a new variable called movement speed, and we'll say random range between 1 and 6. Now that we have the movement speed, we can add an event, and we want to add the step event. All we need to say is x minus equal movement speed. Now if we play the game, our stars are going to move from right to left, but they're not automatically going to be regenerated. So you can see here we've kind of run out of stars, and that's because they're way over here now. What we need to do is we need to do a simple check. We could say if x is less than 0, then we want to regenerate the star. So in the create event, we already have some of this code here. So let's use a little bit of duplication. We could copy the code. In the step event, we'll paste it in. And now the only thing that we need to do is assign an x and y value. Well, we know the x value is going to be our room width, so we're going to place it all the way to the right. And for our y value, we'll just choose this random range. I'll just copy and paste it from our generator. Y equals random range 0 to room height. Now if we save and we hit play, you can see that our star field is now being generated properly. Our stars are moving from the left to right, and everything seems to be working, and it looks a lot better. Now the only other thing I want to do is add a FPS counter. In the object shipped, I'm going to use a draw GUI event, and I'm going to draw the FPS and then the real FPS. So I'll say draw text at 10 and 10, so X and Y, and then I just want to supply the FPS. Next, I'll say draw text at 10 and 30, and I want FPS real. Now if we hit play, we'll see the difference of these two variables, and these are GameMaker variables. So here at the top we have the number 60, and this is actually the room speed. So our game is set to run at 60 frames per second. However, down here below is the real frames per second of our game. Right now it's fluctuating a lot because of the stars and the exhaust effect that we have, but if we drag it, we should be able to see the real number here. So you can see that my frames per second is about 625. Now if we want to make that much higher, that just really depends on the amount of stars that we're creating. If we go to our start generator and we tone 450 down to 200 and we hit play, now our real FPS is going to be much higher. So that's 1108. So that's something to keep in mind when you're creating a game, because if you have a lot of stars, let's say 2000, and we hit play, we're going to start noticing a little bit of a slowdown. So you can see we're getting almost to that point where our game is going to start chugging. Let's bump it up to see what happens. We'll say 8,000 stars. This is not going to look very good, but let's just try it out. You can see that our game is now chugging along. We're trying to get to 60 FPS, but we can't because right now all we can really get is about 42 frames per second. So that's just one thing to keep in mind when we're dealing with creating games. So I'll just set it back to 250. And I think that's going to be it for this episode. I'll just hit play again, make sure everything's in working order. And yeah, there we go. So even though that was pretty quick and short, we have a nice looking starfield. And the next video, I think we're going to get into having our ship shoot. Then we'll start moving on to enemies and some waves. All right, thanks for watching.